Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. This is a video log of me talking to Carlos about our trip when we went up to Ocala. We went up there with the purpose of filming a show, about a 30-minute show called Adventures in One Love. And I just want to talk to him and just kind of do a back and forth learning experience as we look back on that event to see so that we can talk about the things that we messed up, the things that we did right. So that way, moving forward, we can just do a better job. So I got about 20 minutes of me and him speaking. And so just enjoy. Maybe you learn something in your career or your journey. And again, thanks for stopping by. First off, wow, that was good. Look at all this stuff you got, man. I'll tell you what, this podcast desk is coming together.
Yeah.
Sounds good though, right?
It sounds pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever sounded so good to myself in my life.
That's right.
That's good. So listen, Carlos, last weekend, you went to Ocala?
Ocala,
yes. On behalf of One Love Ministry.
Right.
And what church were you at?
We were in Marion Oaks. Assemblies
Oaks.
of God.
Okay, Marion Oaks, Assemblies of God. And what was the mission as we'll call it the Department of One Light Media was Correct. To go up there and do what?
Well, first of all, we were recording the first episode of Adventures of One Love. And the whole purpose of us being there was to minister and to bless marriage couples. I think after all said and done, we were the ones that were blessed.
So you enjoyed it, though?
Yes. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of unforgettable stuff.
Yeah, cool. So as a group, a bunch of married couples went up and taught a one-day seminar. Well, I guess it was more than that. First, it started on Friday, correct? Yes. And what did you guys do on Friday?
Friday, they had a dinner. They did some like game shows, and they talked a little bit about the 5 love languages.
Okay, great. So that was to bless couples and have a dinner and kind of like because that was Valentine's Day.
Correct.
Right. And
yes.
So that way for the people of the church were able to come together, enjoy themselves and have a little dinner with each other. Awesome. So then Saturday ran into, as I understand it, like a one-day kind of marriage conference.
Correct. Yeah. So Saturday, I think we had Greg and Lydia come up and speak. They talked and Dr. Dr. Green came up and she spoke about finances, and they had a lunch together on fellowship, and it was good. The whole event was good.
That's awesome. So you single-handedly almost, packed up all your gear with the help of your wife, your wonderful
Correct.
wife,
yes.
Of course. Yes.
Can't forget that.
Can't forget that. So not single-handedly, with the help of your wife, packed up your gear. Right. You've been preparing, knowing that we're going to work on these episodes, right. Adventures in One Love, and packed up.
Let me add, man. Trying to film this and trying to have everything, trying to keep track of all the shots. This is not a one-person thing.
Yeah. So you and we'll get into that, but you packed up, you tried to get all your gear, go up there in preparation for it. Did your packing go okay? Do you think you did an efficient job?
I packed more than what I needed.
Okay.
Definitely packed more than what I needed, but I had that mindset. I'd rather not use it and have it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah. And I'll notice that, and as I look at other creators and their journey of YouTube, which is amazing because you get to see it, I see a lot of them start off with, I bring everything. And a lot of people, the year of 2020, I've seen so many videos in January about like what's in my camera bag, and it's been like minimalism's the deal, right? Like everybody's kind of downsizing, they're tired of carrying everything, and they're trying to like, how can I make a story with the minimum stuff, So I think that's an evolution of preparation, right? Because we don't want to run into a situation where we don't have, but we're not experienced enough at the beginning, right, to know exactly what we need, right? So that's totally makes sense to me.
I think what made this trip different is that we had to record interviews. So I needed a lot more than just the camera and, on the go type deal.
Right.
I had to set up lights and, kind of like a set. So that kind of made it a little bit more complicated for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So you brought more than you needed, but you went up there and you got to stay with the pastor.
Yeah, man, they're amazing people.
Yeah.
They're amazing people. And hopefully I'm going to get to spend more time with them here soon to sit down and talk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On a podcast about a week from now.
So all the team members that went up stayed basically with families. Is that correct?
Yeah. So funny thing is that, my wife happens to work for a hotel chain. Hotel chain, right?
Yes.
And this weekend, there was nothing available. So we thought, no problem. Lydia said, we'll get our Airbnb.
Yeah.
We'll get that. No problem. And that didn't work out either. It just didn't work in our favor. So last minute, we had people hosting us and we were able to stay with them. And I think that had meaning behind it. I think God was just trying to prepare us for the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know Lydia described that as staying similar to like missionaries, right? Like missionaries
Correct.
when they're traveling,
Yes.
they stay with a host family.
Yep.
And get to do that. So that's cool. And you got to stay in the pastor's house set up for filming. And so missing Friday, of course, but the majority of it trying to set up the show. So as a TV, kind of not a TV show, but the idea of like what a 30-minute episode would be. I know that you guys tried to come up with some shot lists and write that down. How do you think your experience in getting those shots went?
I want to say it was a fail.
Okay.
But I won't know till I start editing.
Okay.
I try to record more than what I thought I needed. Of course, that's always the best rule to follow, So I had a list of how I thought the show should go, meaning shots of the traveling up there, of the host introducing themselves. I think it happened so quick that it was just a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember having the time to going back and making sure I had everything. I tried to just go as I went along, just record everything I could.
Right. That's a good point. So I know during the conference, I did get to go up and help. So I helped on the conference day and with at least one interview. Yeah. And that part to me, again, I didn't get to see the shot list, and you were telling me about it, but we were pretty busy. And I know that I think that probably having a physical copy would be beneficial, and that way we could make notes of what we got.
Yep.
Saying, okay, we've got these things. Here's the things we're looking for, instead of just kind of having it in the old noggin, and it can help with prescribing a second shooter, maybe even, right, so that we can work together. But I know from the conference, we don't want to spend a lot of time in the conference setting. So even though that's the time I was there to help, you probably didn't need me as much during the conference, I don't think.
But it was a big help. It was a big help because you got certain things that I didn't get. I noticed briefly going through the videos, you got video of the entrance and some people coming in and signing in, and that I was so into what I had to be doing that I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
So it was a big help.
Yeah. I understand that perspective of course having more shooters helps, but like as experience is built, you'll be able to get those things. And the only reason I got those things is working at the church, shooting events. We have a shot list, right, that we try and prescribe with. So we always try and get a wide of the opening. We want to try and get the people coming in. We want to get those key things. You want to get a few shots of every speaker, right, which is what you were doing anyway. But I at least have done that before, so I thought about catching that section, and as people leave, and kind of getting those things. So I'm a little more patterned with that, but you'll have that pattern as well. So. Which was good. So then we went to someone's house and we did the interview. I'll have to say that from a after action review perspective, I know that we have to probably be on our game for movement, right? Mm-hmm. And like really like, okay, because we don't want as the camera crew to slow down the rest of the operation, right? And I know that I think we struggled a little bit and moving from place to place.
Yeah,
right,
I think we found ourselves at some point them waiting on us versus the way it should have been, and that kind of just made things a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I mean, and I do think that the team, because how many people were there? There was like 6 other couples there, right? And they would help and they speak, right? But that's all they did, right? And then they're done, right? You know what I mean? Where we're trying to work the whole time and be ahead of the game. So there is a lot on our plate to get ahead of, So I mean, legitimately, right? It's hard work, right? So it's definitely not an easy thing. How do you think the interview views went. I mean, it was frustrating transitioning and setting up. I think once we first got set up, and I know you weren't feeling too good in that process, but
I think the interviews went well. I don't think we'll have a better understanding once we start the editing process.
Right.
Because obviously we're not going to use all of it.
Right.
You know, there's going to be bits and pieces that are going to be used from that interview, and then we'll have to cut it together, and we have to determine what's going to work and what isn't. What I would do different, I don't know.
Yeah.
As far as the interview process, I'm not sure. Lydia did an awesome job trying to keep them engaged.
Yeah, I know at least the first one, the couple, once they got going pretty good, which is good. But I know the pastor's wife jumped in and was giving some pointers, which I know I as a filmmaker, a solo filmmaker sometimes, right, when you're doing things by yourself, one of the things I struggle with is coaching the talent, right? Like I'm here to film and go, you know, but no, and in reality, we have to be the director, right, in that perspective, right, and really giving advice. And like you said, we were blessed that Lydia has a little bit of that ability to engage, and she was doing really good warming them up, right, where we were getting ready. I know she was warming them up with questions, and they were doing really well, which was great. But maybe she warmed them up too much.
I know I kept trying to pay attention to all the settings.
Yeah.
And I found myself at one point moving too fast and changing the actual frame that I may have changed some of the settings.
Okay.
But it was too late after the fact.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how that looks afterwards.
Okay. What I learned as we did this is that it sounds like you guys agreed to maybe do a second edit on behalf of the church as well, to use it as kind of promotional content for them as well.
Correct.
Yeah. So that can be, I don't want to say difficult, right? But good. And I mean, because it is, right? Because we're here to bless people, right?
Right.
Which is great, is that not only can a show come together that can share people with what One Love is doing, it can minister to them and what it's doing, but then also you can reuse that content that you're catching on behalf of the church, right? So that they can use it and bring people into the local church.
Yep. I don't know where we're going to be headed to next. But I think going through this experience definitely is going to have me be a little bit more prepared. Definitely there's some things that I don't need. And there are some things that I'm glad I brought, because if I didn't bring them, for example, there was I didn't know that they had a sky light.
Oh, yeah. And
it kept changing the settings on the camera. So I had to take out one of those pop filters and kind of place it, which if I didn't think I was going to use it, but it actually worked out because it helped with that situation.
Right.
So that's a situation where, you brought extra stuff, but then, what if I didn't have it? It would have just, because we were filming throughout the day, not the night, which nighttime is easier because you have more controls of the light.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess you just have to kind of play it by ear as you go along from different locations to locations. So.
No, that's great, right? And that's, in the beginning, people will worry about light, right? But when we worry about making light for the film, we also have to real about negative fill, as it's called, right? Like you need to take away light sometimes, right? And having, using blocking and block lights out of the way and spill, and right, so that we can make the picture the best we can. So that's great. So you use like one of the 5-in-1 pop-up deals, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the huge ones that we have here.
Yeah. No, those come in handy a lot. That's awesome. So then you tore down and came on home.
Yes.
Is there anything else you think? I know, I guess one of the things I worried about afterwards was maybe scene management or file management. Has that seemed to be difficult as you've recovered from it?
Yes, I'm still struggling with that. I'm still learning how to do that. That's something that I really want to attack this year. And I know we have a new team member that's joining the editing side,
right?
And I'm hoping that she is able to bring some light on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. But my concern is let me put it this way. So of course in a movie you have blocking, right? They make notes, right? You have time codecs and on a big thing, right? All like this, the audio is synced. Right? That's right. We don't have any of that stuff, right? So we're not running a thing to sync our audio with our cameras based on time codecs, right?
Right.
So we have to rely on other things. So I think you've been very good when we do our shoots to try and at least announce what shoot we're on, get a clap, you know what I mean, to line up our audio. And But I know that at least me, right? Sometimes when we're out there, we can be in a hurry, and I was running audio for you, and I'm like, start, stop, start, stop. You know what I mean? Like, how many files did I just make that you have to run through later? And
so I did notice,
and bring that together.
I did notice as I was downloading the audio that I wasn't sure where everything was.
Right.
So I have to spend time and listen to it. And I'm hoping that we were able to keep track of that. I know I kept asking, or I kept repeating myself, this is XY interview, and this is take 1, 2, 3, or whatever. And that's the only way that I'm going to have to keep track of that. Yeah. So it's just going to be a matter of me sitting down, listening, and spending that time.
And that's a great point. I think that... just as we were speaking about it, we mentioned about having a shot list, right? Mm-hmm. I think with that clipboard, secondarily to that is having a log of shots, right? And if we log down at this time, we're shooting this thing, it'll make it easier to line up because most of the files are time-stamped, right? Then we can line that up in post a little easier.
And I think in addition to that, just going in afterwards and changing the name of the file.
Oh, right.
Would help.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching an interesting video, again, on some of the higher-end audio recorders, and they talk about being able to put in, as you're recording them, putting in notes and things like that. I mean, we're not using any that would be easy, at least right now, doing, but at least having a log, and of course that's why you have the clipboard with all the names and everything on it when you, what they use, a clacker or whatever it's called, so that it's easier to do. But that is something that I was worried about as I was doing it for you. And then I'm like, because I was just like recording and I'm out, you got to deal with it.
No, I think there's a lot more. And obviously as we continue to do this, I'm expecting that at some point we have more than one person doing this. Right. We want to develop a team of whatever it is, 3, 4 people that can each has their own responsibilities to make this a little bit easier, because obviously one person is pretty hectic trying to go around maintaining the batteries being charged. And I know we ran into that problem where on several occasions the batteries were, I forgot to charge the battery while I was using the other one.
Yes.
So just having someone there to constantly making sure, I'm going to take care of this while you're doing this.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure we download everything, so that way when you need another SD card, it's clear and ready to go, right? All you have to do is format. So you got so many things going in your head, and you're trying to make sure everything's perfect, that's when you start making mistakes.
Right.
For example, forgetting to format the SD card because you're in a hurry to start.
Right.
Now you have everything on there, and you don't know what has to, what's going to go next, or whether you downloaded it already or not. It just gets kind of mixed into everything. It's just hectic. So,
no, that's a great thing, and I think that we need to, just even as you and me, is really start writing down. In the Army, we call it SOP, standard operating procedure. Right, other places use that, and really how do we need to do things, right? Just like you said, right? When we had had a room at the church that we were able to put our gear in, right? But we need to say, okay, well, if we're going to set up a room, and we're going to set up a charging station, and we know we're going to use these cameras, you're going to put these on the charger, right? You set up your computer so we could download files, so we were straight on there, but making sure that we have a file control system, how are they saved, right, or whatever, and running backups, not singles, right, because we want to make sure if something happens. Again, it's your first major muscle move, I would say, for a live capture, right, and because you've tried to shoot live things before and struggled. I know, right? Because you're more used to a little more sit down. Let's do an interview.
When it's live, you miss it. That's it. I like having the option to say and go back. Let's fix it. Let's redo it again because this doesn't look right. But once it's live and you miss it, you miss that moment, and that's it.
That's right. So let's end with that Saturday. You guys went out on the town and you did meet some people and pray and do some different things. So that was kind of your first nighttime experience. How was that?
I struggled a little bit, and of course this is some things that I noticed after the fact. I struggled a little bit with the focus on the camera.
Okay.
But the experience itself was awesome.
Good.
The image actually looks very clean.
Yeah. And you shot on the Canon 90D, right?
And the new 90D, correct. And it was something that we rented for this event.
Right.
So it overall good. I just have to figure out the focusing.
Right.
There was at the location that we were at, there was a lot of law enforcement activity around us, and there was a lot of lights. So maybe the lights kept throwing things off. I don't know what the case might be. I don't know what the solution is. Again, it was my first time doing it at nighttime. I think it came out all right.
Yeah.
For nighttime. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've the difference between you and me, right, is I've had, because of my church filming experience, I've worked in the dark a little more comfortable with that. But I definitely understand that experience, and even some of the people I watch to do like conferences and stuff, they realize that even though autofocus is amazing, when there's a lot of people and the lights kind of dim, that you can start hunting, can go in and out. So often they'll switch into manual focus and keep it that way, depending on your subject. I don't think I have any other questions. Is there any other experience or part of the event that maybe you want to talk about?
It was a good experience. I just I'm ready to do it again.
Yeah.
But with extra help.
Extra help, yes.
And definitely having everything written down ahead of time, and everybody having a copy, so we're all on the same page is something that's going to help in the future.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. I think we did okay. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
right?
we'll see.
We'll see what it comes out.
No, that's awesome. It's the first banger. So just look forward to seeing that edit come together, and just keep an eye out, and I'll definitely share when that happens. And don't know exactly how long it'll take to come out, but it was a fun experience doing it. I'm looking forward to continued help with One Light Media in support of One Love, and as this is what I think we're called to do, right?
Yeah.
Awesome,
of course.
Man. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Yes, sir.
God bless.
God bless.